Boots, not suits. This plan will bring home a country that works for the people who do the work. And here's the plan. First, we will reinstate the $4,000 apprenticeship grant to help our young apprentices with the cost of training up. This is a grant the previous Conservative government brought in, and the current Liberal government had planned to phase out at the end of this month. Well, I'm here to announce that my government will reinstate it to give direct financial support to young apprentices.
And that's why today I'm announcing that a new Liberal government will cover the costs of apprenticeship training for Canada's skilled workers.
Now, I can't help but notice that Mr. Carney is contradicting himself again today as he plagiarizes my latest policy. On April the 1st, just 4 or 5 days ago, his government got rid of the apprenticeship grant. And today, after seeing that I support the grant and I'll bring it back, he's trying to plagiarize me yet again. You can't believe anything he says when he does one thing on April Fool's Day, and then not even a week later, he says the opposite.
YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Canuck News. How are you today? I hope you are having a wonderful day as the weather starts to change, as we start to get closer to summer through the spring. Got through the ice storms. Now let's get into some of the videos today. We got Copycat Carney completely plagiarizing Pierre Poilievre and all of his policies, and now with the latest policy, he is now plagiarizing his apprenticeship grants that the Liberals just literally got rid of at the beginning of April. And now that they hear that Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre is going to reinstate, and that's one of his announcements, now they're going right behind him and doing what Copycat Carney does best: plagiarize. At this point, Mark Carney might as well just come out and say that he's a conservative wearing Liberal clothes, because I have not heard one policy from the Liberals that has been thought of generally just from them. It's all the piggybacking off the Conservatives, aiming at the Conservatives, saying conservative bad, yet stealing every policy and try to throw it in Canadians. Like Canadians, please wake up, take your shades off, open your blinds, whatever you have to do, take a shot, espresso, just wake up, okay? Because there ain't nothing gonna change with these Liberals compared to the last Liberals, compared to Justin Trudeau. Let's get into the clip.
They don't call it beautiful British Columbia for nothing. It is great to be back in the Okanagan. I think it's my favorite place in the world, actually. Brings back so many memories of camping trips we used to do. As you know, I'm an Albertan, and we are that alien species that comes and invades your province every summer and every winter. We spend a lot of money here, which is good, but you don't see us as much in the shoulder seasons normally. So it's nice to be here any time of the year. And during the campaign, though, people look at projects like the Canadian Pacific Railway. I think people say, they've been saying to me, do you think we could build that today? You know, with all the delays and the bureaucracy and the radical environmental agenda of Mr. Carney's minister, Stephen Guilbeault. It's a guy who actually thinks we should stop building roads, who climbed up the CN Tower and crawled onto the roof of the Premier of Alberta to block energy development. And he's in Carney's cabinet today, responsible for all of Quebec and for Parks Canada. If you think anything is going to get built under these Liberals, then you haven't been following the last lost Liberal decade, where they have driven $500 billion of investment out of our country, killed key pipeline projects, effectively banned any major resource projects from going ahead, and now they want to keep in place C-69, the anti-pipeline, anti-development law that will ensure we are forever dependent on the Americans. The last real attempt by a federal government to cut red tape was in the 2012 passage of the Red Tape Reduction Act by the Conservative government. And the law had a very simple principle. Every new regulation had to be met with eliminating an old one. So that law is still in place, you might ask then, how is it that the Liberals have been able to increase regulations and red tape by 15%? Well, the reason is the Liberals have been cooking the books. Instead of reducing the number of regulatory requirements, they have reduced the number of regulatory titles. So it's like gluing all your books together and saying that you've reduced the number of books, but you might actually have even more pages if you've added more books into the newly glued collection. And today, we have more individual rules and regulations just with fewer titles. So they've gone around the law in order to impose more burden on our small businesses, driving investment, jobs, and opportunity away at a time when we are more vulnerable than ever before. I'm announcing that a Conservative government will cut red tape by 25% over the next 2 years. We'll impose a 2-for-1 rule, which means every new regulation or rule will have to be matched with eliminating 2 existing ones. And we will do the same with dollar value. Every $1 increase in the administrative burden of the federal government will have to be matched with $2 of reductions elsewhere. And finally, to make sure there are no more tricks like the Liberals have played to get around this rule, we'll give a legal mandate to the Auditor General to audit every year the administrative burden to ensure that these rules are being honored. This will force the senior bureaucracy to constantly comb through the rules, get rid of unnecessary and useless regulations, and find the most efficient way to protect public safety and the environment. There are expensive and bureaucratic ways that involve lots of paper, and there are ways that you can do more efficiently. And I'll give you an example. When they had the Great Global Recession, the Harper government made the decision that we would fund municipal projects using a 1-page application form, 1 page. And there would be 1 environmental review per project, not 7 or 8. Now everyone screamed and said, well, this is going to harm safety and the environment. Well, we completed 23,500 projects in 2 years without 1 public safety problem or 1 environmental problem identified by the Environment Commissioner. That proves you can protect safety and the environment with less bureaucracy. In other words, stop stopping and start starting. Now, I can't help but notice that Mr. Carney is contradicting himself again today as he plagiarizes my latest policy. On April the 1st, just 4 or 5 days ago, his government got rid of the apprenticeship grant. And today, after seeing that I support the grant and I'll bring it back, he's trying to plagiarize me yet again. You can't believe anything he says when he does one thing on April Fool's Day, and then not even a week later, he says the opposite. He is just like Justin Trudeau, and there will be no change if you give Liberals a 4th term.
Do you honestly know how bold you would have to be to go on national live TV and mention something that your opponent literally just said 3 days ago and make it sound like it's yours, and just to completely have people in the crowd cheering like, yeah, this is the first time? Like, I really have to wonder, like, Canada, certain Canadians, y'all cannot be that dumb. Like, there's no person on earth. That's like, come on now. That's like literally having 2 cups that are both red, and there you say there's nothing under them. You open them and you say there's nothing under these. You see that they're not filled, and then literally someone puts F on one of the cups and says that's full, and you're like, yep, that's full. That's a full cup. Like, that's the same way y'all look at Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Like, you really think that he is some savior. He is just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like, you would think that Canadians have seen the tale of Red Riding Hood. It's Carney. Carney is the damn wolf, and he's just taking all y'all Liberals as Red Riding Hood and just eating y'all up. Next, we have a Canadian reporter talking about how Pierre Poilievre is close to the policies of Donald Trump in America, and a lot of things that he says are close to him. We got to stop this, guys. We seriously got to stop this. We've had Donald Trump literally endorse Mark Carney. We've had literally Justin Trudeau go talk with Donald Trump before he stepped down from office. We got to stop talking about who's closer with Donald Trump and which party is closer and wants to work with and do business with Donald Trump and his benefit compared to Pierre Poilievre. Like, we got to stop this. Come on now, guys. Like, to put it in layman terms, if you guys have not seen the story of Red Riding Hood, Mark Carney is the wolf in Red Riding Hood for all you red liberals. He is literally luring you guys to the house to eat y'all up. Like, there is nothing he's going to change. There is nothing he has changed. There's nothing he's committed to changing. Why hasn't he recalled Parliament before his election? Why hasn't he done that? Why hasn't he even taken a step to setting a date to recall Parliament? Why are we not wondering these questions about Mark Carney? Why is Mark Carney so invested in China? Why does Mark Carney want to make Canadians pay higher industrial tax, but he wants to dodge the Canadian taxes by taking his business to other countries? You gotta ask these questions, Canadians. Now let's hop right into the next clip with Pierre Poilievre answering some questions from reporters.
Richard Glusman, Global BC. Welcome back to the province.
Great to be back, Richard.
This campaign. We haven't seen Mark Carney in BC yet, but eventually we'll see him, I hope. I want to ask you about Aaron Gunn, one of your candidates here. There's been a letter sent to the party, and I'll read it in part to you, denying the impacts of residential school, accusing Gunn of denying the impacts of residential schools and the generational trauma and genocide experienced by First Nations people. There are other concerns raised about his candidacy. Local mayors have said that they don't support him and don't think he should be a Conservative candidate. Do you still stand by Aaron Gunn as your candidate on the North Island?
Yes, I do, and the letter is false. He has not denied the impact of residential schools. That's just misinformation. In fact, he has said that he wants to continue to condemn the residential schools and build stronger partnerships with First Nations people to unlock our resources so that we can produce incredible paychecks and opportunities for First Nations communities right across British Columbia, bring home production of natural gas and other major resource projects. In fact, bring in a First Nations resource charge that allows companies, and the choice in the election will be whether, after the lost Liberal decade of costs and crime up and our economy down under the American thumb, with our First Nations people denied the opportunities they deserve, we want to elect them to a fourth term, or whether it's time to put our country and all of its people first with a new Conservative government that will unleash opportunity for our economy and especially ensure that First Nations communities are the primary beneficiaries of that great Canadian goal. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to the next question.
Brendan Phillips, Black Press Media. As we stand here in a border community, one that relies heavily on tourism and cross-border commerce, which is being strangled by the United States, there are some voters who are concerned that the party and campaign are too reminiscent of the current American government. America first, Canada first, calls to cut public broadcasters with NPR, PBS versus CBC, eliminations of government regulations in sweeping manner. Even Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has said that the Conservative Party leadership is in sync in direction with Trump and America. How do you address the concerns of being too closely aligned to a foreign government that is threatening Canada and is destroying its own country right now?
Well, your question is false. Mr. Trump has endorsed the Liberals. He said it will be easier for him if the Liberals stay in power. He said it multiple times. He said that he doesn't agree with me, he doesn't support me, and he doesn't want me to be Prime Minister of Canada. I think a lot of people have to ask themselves, why does Donald Trump want the Liberals in power for a fourth term? The answer is clear. He wants Canada to be weak. And after the lost Liberal decade, with costs and crime up and our economy down under America's thumb, we are more vulnerable and dependent than ever before. And that's why we can't give them a fourth term. What we need is a government that's going to put Canada first for a change by axing taxes, unleashing our resources to bring home the $500 billion the Americans have stolen from us under the last years of the Liberals. It's time for a strong Canadian leader A strong conservative rather than a weak liberal is exactly what this country needs, even if Donald Trump doesn't like it.
Thank you. We'll now take a question from the phone line.
Thank you. Your question comes from the line of Nick Johansson from Castanet. Please go ahead.
Hi there. You're cutting out a bit, so I hope this question comes through. This is Nick at Castanet. Thank you, Mr. Polyev. We've talked to local wineries here in the Okanagan who are struggling with interprovincial taxes that are making it easier to sell products actually south of the border rather than to our neighbors to the east. This is largely a provincial issue, but I'm just wondering, would a conservative government step in and try to break down these interprovincial trade barriers?
Yes, we would. And, you know, it's terrible that after this lost Liberal decade, it's harder than ever to sell goods and services across interprovincial boundaries. We need true pan-Canadian free trade, one single free market, coast to coast, so that anyone in Canada can buy any product from Canada. And that is our agenda, to unleash a free enterprise, nationwide economy, so we're less dependent on the Americans and we can stand on our own 2 feet. But I want to give my friend Dan Elbis, who's been Canada's leading voice for free trade in wine, spirits, and I think beers as well, a chance to address your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre, and thank you, Nick. This is an issue that has been affecting Okanagan wineries particularly. And what they see right now is that they have politicians that say they support interprovincial barriers coming down, but they don't see any real change because these liquor monopolies that are acting as gatekeepers on our economy are expressly raising their fees multiple times because the biggest issue for a winery is they need to get better market access. So when you try to send a bottle of wine from British Columbia to another province, and both the liquor monopoly in British Columbia and in that host province that's going to take in the wine raise up the fees, for a bottle of wine that may be worth $25, $45 suddenly costs upwards of $100 with shipping, it's impractical. So we need to have a conservative government that looks at red tape, works with provinces to bring down the costs so that our vintners, our cideries, our craft brewers and artisan distillers can actually have true free trade in Canada. Pierre knows this issue extremely well.
And you got your bill as well.
Yes.
You bills.
Yes, we had a bill passed in 2012, but again, some provinces play the game in regulations and red tape that makes it difficult. That's why having a conservative government that makes red tape reduction a priority and works with provinces to not allow these gatekeepers to deny our BC vintners the ability. It's crazy that Ron Kubek from Lightning Winery has to send his wine to the United States because it's easier to do business there. So, Pierre, I look forward to you being Prime Minister so you can help our BC vintners to be able to get a fair shake.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our press conference today.
Great job right there from Mr. Polyev, Canada's next Prime Minister, with letting some of his candidates and team members come in where their strengths are, because you can't be the best at everything. And the greatest thing about a leader is knowing where your strengths are, what you're good at, and where you can utilize your workers and your people and your partners that are going to help you succeed. Right? It's a team effort here, and I like to see that team play from Conservatives. I like to see that they're very open to letting their party members speak, as well as we got to understand we do need an open market to grow. We have to take these steps to grow. And I hope most of you Canadians are keeping up with some of the economy and what's actually happened. If you're not going through the struggle, I don't know where in Canada you're really living. But to some of us who are going through it, who see it, who live it, who are experiencing with loved ones, with friends, with just people all around, even workers, we have to have a soft spot for people in Canada right now. We got to start banding together to build it back and build it stronger. And as we are always been, free, strong, and we will make sure that we always get along. Let's just bring it home for Canada. Let's get this election done on April 28th, and I hope you pick the best candidate for you. I know who I will be picking, but I'm pretty sure y'all all know by now who I will be picking as well. To wrap it all up, thank y'all for coming out, watching, and tuning in with me at the video. Thanks for hanging out with me for a bit. If you could hit me with that HBO special, that's that help a brother out with that like and subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out.